Perfect. And thank you so much to everybody for being here. Really excited to see you all. And thank you so much to Bailey and Cole for sharing y'all's knowledge. That was fantastic. So for my section, I work both on Substack's partnerships team, working with writers of all sizes, small to large, and I also work on Substack's product team, mostly on building out new writer tools. So a lot of the thing that I think about is how can writers who are on Substack maximize the way that they use our platform's tools, from our post editor to our promotion tools and our subscription tools, to succeed. So we're going to take a lot of these abstract, really like important foundational things that you figured out about your publication strategy from Bailey and Cole sections, and think about, what does this actually look like when I'm thinking, what is my content strategy going to be for my newsletter, for my Substack publication? And to do that, I wanted to go through some different types of posts on Substack, really helping y'all consider the full range of possibilities for content, for post types, and really thinking about innovating on format in terms of that triangle that Cole presented. So when deciding what post format works best, remember to keep in mind both your audience as well as the specific kind of thing that they are looking for from you. I know we don't have too much time here, so we'll sort of go through a few different post types and some role models for each one. And hopefully you can be thinking about your own publication and what's going to work best for your audience. Perfect. So we'll start out with podcasts, since this is one tool that can be really powerful, but a lot of folks might not have explored. So Substack does have built-in podcasting. It's really easy to set up. You can record right within the platform, or you can upload an MP3 and then push that out to Apple Podcasts, to Spotify, to whatever, directly through Substack and for free. So a couple examples here that we really love. One is True Hoop, which is a basketball publication, and another one is Alicia Kennedy, who writes about food and politics. For example, Alicia shares interviews with chefs and food writers for her paid subscribers specifically. And so podcasts, especially like interview podcasts, can be a really great way to bring in other expert perspectives on a topic, maybe folks who are adjacent to you, but maybe not exactly in your lane. It's also a really fantastic way to do an interview podcast to borrow somebody else's audience, because if you bring somebody else in and they post about it on their Twitter or their social media, you can bring in a totally new audience of followers onto your platform. And so if you're not really sure how to turn on podcasts, you can go to your publication settings page, search podcasts, and just walk through a few simple steps, and you'll be able to create a new episode. The next thing I wanted to talk about was edited interviews. So very similarly to podcasts, it's a great way to bring in other expert perspectives or adjacent perspectives. Maybe if you are primarily a journalist, you might want to talk to somebody who is a practitioner in your field, or somebody who is affected by the kinds of issues that you write about. Once again, it's a way to diversify the voices that are on your publication, or a way to borrow somebody else's audience by interviewing them and having them promote your Substack through their own social media channels. Another really good post type that you might want to consider is doing discussion threads, which I really love and I think are so underrated. When you start a new thread on Substack, that's a way to create a post that still goes out to everybody's emails, but really focuses on the interactive and the community component for your readers. So one of the examples here is The New Fatherhood, which is a great publication for new fathers who are being really thoughtful about what it means to be a dad in this modern world. And I think that one of the things that Kevin, the writer of The New Fatherhood, does best is that he builds an awesome sense of community among his readers by doing these discussion threads once or twice a week, where he'll just ask, like, do you have any plans for Father's Day? What's a book that really changed the way that you went about parenting? And sure, he'll share snippets from his own life, but his readers, why are they there? His readers are there to look for support, to look for other dads who are thinking through the same kinds of questions. And so he has a really active comments section full of dads sharing their own experiences. He'll reply to them, and it really helps cultivate a sense of strong community and emotional connection among his readers. So I would say that's a great example of how threads can be a specific post type for publications that are really driven by that strong who that Bailey was talking about. And if you're not sure how to enable threads, you want to go to your settings page, enable commenting or enable community features, and you'll have the discussion thread as a type of post that pops up. Another type of post is doing like link or recommendation roundups. So this might be a list of recommendations, links to news items, current events from the past week. Some examples here, one is Liberty's Highlights. In the back is a finance newsletter that does investing in business, science, and tech news, and it highlights a bunch of recent news items in those worlds. In a slightly different perspective, Maybe Baby is a newsletter by Haley Naiman, who always publishes a short essay and then ends it with a list of 15 things that she consumed the last week. I really love her examples because it really is a way to see the world through her lens. Sure, she shares like serious essays about philosophy or psychology, but just as much she shares like, here's a great recipe I tried. I watched a bunch of TikTok videos about XYZ, and it creates this very personal sense of from her readers of like, this is a true slice of life. This is a way to see the world through her specific personality and perspective. So I think that if your readers are either super busy and they want to digest a bunch of news really fast, you can do a news roundup. Or if it's more of a culture, personality centered newsletter, you might want to do this broader kind of content roundup like Haley does. Another type of format is virtual events. So this is really leveraging your mailing list and your relationship to your readers through Substack, but actually offering live Zoom events or otherwise off the platform. And oftentimes I think live events are done for subscribers only as a paid subscriber benefit. And one great example that I love here is the Isolation Journals, which is a writing and creativity newsletter, hosts studio visits every, I think, month with artists, where they will interview artists in this sort of like behind the scenes way as a Zoom webinar. Or similarly, Carissa Potter hosts quiet drawing sessions for her paid subscribers, and that creates its own sense of intimacy. I know sometimes writers really worry about like, I would love to turn on paid subscriptions, but I don't think that I can write like 2 essays every week. It takes me a really long time to write. And I totally understand. And that's sort of why changing the format a little bit, doing a thread, doing a video, doing a Zoom event is a really helpful way to sort of build new surfaces on which you can connect with your readers. So here we have photos and illustrations. So these are some really wonderful ways to include images. You can even treat these posts as almost like a mini Instagram or shared doodles. That can be really helpful. You can use embeds to share music. So I know that one thing that we offer is if you put a YouTube link, a SoundCloud link, or a Spotify link into a Substack post, it'll automatically pop up as a multimedia embed that people can play directly from their email or from the site. So 3x7 recommends 3 songs every day. And you can do music publications, or you might just want to set the mood for your newsletter. And the final thing that we wanted to show is the podcast tool doesn't have to be just for like serious podcasters telling stories, but it can also be used to record narrated versions of your existing Substack articles or your essays. So this might be best if you know that your readers are really busy and they often ask you like, I want to listen to your essay on the way to work, or I want to listen to it while I'm doing my chores. So again, there are so many post types that you can use. They don't have to stay the same. This can be a way to change it up so you don't burn out and you have time to do all of your research for your really curated writing pieces. It can be a way to provide specific benefits for your paid subscribers that are different from the kinds of things that you traditionally offer your free readers. It can be a way to provide your paid readers a more intimate look at your life and the way that you think outside of the sort of more serious writing. And it's also just like a fun way to just experiment with different kinds of tools and different ways of talking to your readers. Finally, I know we're running up on time, but I wanted to end with a quick note on here are so many options. I don't know what I want to make free. I don't know what I want to make paid. So the recommendation that we always give at Substack is that you should make your best work free and available to everybody. It can sound a little bit counterintuitive, but by making your show-stopping big pieces free, you'll be able to grow your audience and bring in all of these newcomers faster. Usually you see the jump in growth when a really good post goes viral, and these free pieces are going to get everybody coming to your publication, subscribing, and then maybe they'll get interested enough in your writing, they'll trust you enough to want to get some of those more niche takes, like in the weeds analysis, these videos, access to communities, and all of these bonus features. Isaac Saul, for example, is a really successful politics writer on Substack. And in a recent Twitter thread, he said that the more content available to the masses, the more shots I have at bringing in new readers. Several times I've unlocked subscriber-only content that was really popular just to get more eyes on it, and then use that content as an advertisement. It works. So you might think like, I want all my best stuff paid behind the paywall, but actually you will probably end up being able to get more paying subscribers in the long run when you make your best work free. So finally, one quick way to think about it: if free posts are the main concert, think of paid content, whether threads, videos, live events, whatever, as the backstage pass.